Hello, teachers. My name is Wendy Shang, and I am an author of books for children. Thank you so much for including me in your program. When Anita reached out to me and asked if I would make this video, I was really excited to say yes, if only for an opportunity to say thank you to a group of teachers, to say thank you for continuing to teach during the pandemic and after, and thank you for diversifying your libraries and thinking about the best way to do that. One of the reasons why I write for children is because when I was growing up, I did not see myself portrayed in a lot of places, not in books or television shows or movies. And I think it changes a child to see themselves in these places. I think it sends a message that you matter, that your lives matter, and I think it opens up for kids the possibilities of who they can be. So this is really important work that you're doing in a way that we hope becomes a lifelong habit and just a way of going through the world. So what are some ways of diversifying your library and to go about that? I know your time is limited and that you don't have time, as much as we all love to read, to read every single book that's out there. So how do you find books that you can feel good about, or at least cut down on the number of books you want to read through? So my first tip is to go to the American Library Association website and look at their awards programs for children's books. Of course, everybody knows the Newbery and the Caldecott, but there are also awards that are specifically for authors of color and their books that feature children of color. So for African American authors and their subjects, there's the Coretta Scott King Awards. For Latinx authors and books, we have the Pura Belpré. For Asian American authors, we have the Asian Pacific American Librarian Association Awards, which my first book, The Great Wall of Lucy Wu, received. For LGBTQ plus children, there are the Stonewall Awards, and those are a few. I think those are some of the major ones. So that would be where I would start. They have books for different age groups, and I think that's just a really good starting point for you. Another way that I would go about finding books to share with children is to find book bloggers to follow. There are tons of them out there. There's ones that specialize in picture books, middle grade, young adult, and some of them have a focus on diverse books. I would, maybe put in some books, see who's talking about a book that you've been excited about before, and then see what other books they have. And there are book bloggers that even that are kind of more subspecialties and or websites. I know there's a Latinx Kidlit website. There's the Brown Bookshelf. There's Asian authors in children's literature. So I would Google those terms and see what you can find and who they're talking about. As far as my own books, I would say that simpler is better. Like, we don't have to make it super complicated. And so it could be as simple as finding connections to make between what's happening in the book and your students' own lives. So I have one picture book right now. It is called The Rice in the Pot Goes Round and Round. It features a Chinese American family having a meal together, and it's set to the tune of The Wheels on the Bus, which we all know. And so in the book, we talk about, we refer to the members of the family by their Chinese titles. You see the different foods that they eat. I really love the work that the illustrator Lorianne Tu did in showing all the joy and color that happens here. And in the back, there is a guide to the terms that we use for different family members, for the different foods that you see in the pictures. And so I think this is a great way to make a connection with students, to say, okay, now we've seen what happens here. Is this like your family, or is this different? Do you have special terms for your grandparents? Do you have special foods that you eat during certain times of year? There's even a short portion about etiquette. So you might say, like, what are some, what's considered polite at your dinner table that other people might know about? So I think that is a great way to start. Another way to go about introducing books to your class is finding books that have reader's guides. And I've been really lucky. This is my latest book, The Secret Battle of Evan Powell, which is about a boy who moves from California to Virginia under kind of difficult circumstances. He moves to a small town that is a bit obsessed with the Civil War. And he is made to feel like maybe he doesn't have something to offer because he's Chinese American. And what he finds out is that there were Chinese soldiers during the Civil War. And he thinks that's going to solve all his problems, but actually it starts to create more problems for him. I've been really fortunate that there have been a couple of guides that have come out with this book. The National Education Association has a great reflective writing guide to go with this book. So it has a short description, and then it has questions that you can ask your students to write and reflect on. I also know that Scholastic is coming out with a discussion guide that looks at different aspects of this book, whether it's restorative justice, Asian American history, Asians in the Civil War, and offers different resources connected with each of those topics. So I would say those are some ways that you could go about finding more books for your classroom. And again, thank you very much for doing this fantastic work. Take care. Bye-bye.